Hi there, lovely people. It's been a long time. It's been a very, very long time. And but there's a couple of hundred people marching up and down around Trafalgar Square. So there is an actual V for Vendetta March, Guy Fawkes Night thing happening. But I don't really have good news, because to me it seems like we kind of misunderstood this the whole time. It looks like Alan Moore and the Warner Brothers had some kind of a vision, a prophecy that wasn't really that we're going to be marching by the millions and we're going to be so self-righteous and triumphant that it's all going to be alright. It seems like it's the opposite. It was a warning that, the film was playing in 2020. There was a virus, there was a curfew, there was army on the streets against their own civilians. Parliament was in pieces. Well, that's all happening. Oh, and of course a crazy Nazi corrupt government. We all have that now. That is actually happening. Even Big Ben looks like shit. It's still scaffolded up, although it was supposed to be going bing bong when Brexit Day was happening. So you can hear the screams in the background. There is a few hundred people, but if you remember the Million Mass Marches a couple of years ago, we always had thousands and thousands of people strong marches, but it was easy. There was all these freedoms, and now, people didn't stand up for each other's well-being and freedoms, and now it's too late. People are standing up for their own individual little freedoms that are being infringed by now. In Britain, that's a new thing. If someone knows me, they know where I come from. That's not a new thing. And this is what we're left with. A couple of hundred people, bless them, they're really trying, but they're not in unity. I don't know what's gonna happen. It looks like we haven't been paying attention to the warnings. We haven't been paying attention to the prophecy. And that's it. Now this is happening. And looks like it's pretty much the end of protest. We need to focus on building communities, building networks, keeping those networks alive of information and goods. And we need to create a new world of our own, because this one is going to shit. So this is supposed to be the big scene from V for Vendetta. Well, it's not. If we had a couple of more thousand people, or even more than that, and march in silence, in pairs, like in pairs of two people, which I'm doing now actually. That's why I'm not being threatened with arrest all the time. I have my affinity group of another person. Two people can still protest apparently, so, Eastern Europe style, you have to outsmart Babylon. We could have pairs marching in social distancing ways, and then we could have a couple of million people really. They couldn't really mess with it. And if people are self-disciplined and silent, and they have their goals, and they stand in unity, then magic happens. In Poland, all those people who have been out in the streets because of the abortion laws, and they have been beaten up really badly by skinheads and all that, they send them on protesting women. The government is backing down at the moment in Poland. They are winning because they stand together for something. In here, people are not standing together. They're all standing for their own individual little freedoms that they think are going out the window now, but this is much bigger than that. We have responsibilities for each other. We have responsibilities for our home planet. And that's where it starts. But the previous Million Mass Marches were about that. It was no mistake. They were getting infiltrated every now and then, but people were kind of marching for the same reasons, and we were standing in unity. And like fish or birds, we managed to get through the police blockades non-violently. Today is a very awkward and therapeutic day in protest history. And looks like Alan Moore and the Warner Brothers were right. 2020 is what it is. but the people are not showing up. Yeah, exactly. I've seen this before. I was born in the Soviet Union, believe it or not. And when people get used to reporting their neighbors because they don't like them and they have the right to do it, it's not a pretty thing, and it doesn't go away easily. It doesn't really go away in the end, anyway. We're all kind of responsible for this because we've been blinded by all the distractions and commodities and comforts. But of course, quite a few of us have been trying to warn the other people, probably the people who are marching now, because I haven't seen too many familiar faces. These people are just waking up to the fact that something bad is happening to their little lives. And hi, Stephen. And yeah, it is the same government as before. I mean, in the last decade or so, there's been the same cocaine-fueled clown fascist version of democracy as we know it, corporatocracy on the cocaine clown level, and it's now full blown. So yeah, this is not even the old school fascism. That was, I guess, alcohol fueled, not crazy cocaine governed people. It's not like the old fascist ways were better than this one, but this one is like pretty much the end of this system. It's breaking down in front of our eyes, and it just doesn't make sense. There's no logic in it. They're definitely not acting in our best interests. So we need to reclaim our responsibility and watch out for each other, keep our health, build our immune systems, have access to medicine for all, and that's not what's happening. And I don't really understand how in their panic people are panicking about their mortality suddenly, and they tend to somehow trust psychopaths who they know they're psychopaths. They have never really cared about anything. Then they're dangerous to themselves and the whole world. So why would you trust those people, especially now in a pandemic? And there's just gonna be worse on that level, so it's really up to us now. You can't expect anybody. People had their messiah mania for a few years now that seriously set back the grassroots, and now the last hopeful people are gone. The system is exactly what it is, and it has been. You can only vote about who's going to sell crack in your school, a nice looking guy or a really freaky guy. It doesn't make sense. It never has made sense, even if this system has maybe worked on some level before in the previous centuries. In the 21st century, even Facebook is more advanced than this system we live in. So that's pretty much it from me. I've been marching with these guys a little bit, but it's not safe because people are not standing in unity and they don't really know what they're doing. They're just shouting freedom every now and then. The police don't really know what the hell to do. They're running up and down. One of the previous Million Mask marches, I think it was the 2013 or 14, I'm not sure which one, that lasted like 8 hours. That was beautiful, but it felt like that was warming up or a training for us to get to this point. When this situation happens, then we can be strong, but looks like it's the opposite. Today I thought that it's been like we've been practicing to play football without a football field and football players and the ball and the gate. And now when the football field and the ball and the gate appears, everybody wants to play tennis and hopscotch and everything else. So we should know that, we should have the same goals, and we have been marching to face this day if it happens. I was really hoping that this wouldn't happen, but it is happening. The West is kind of screwing up I don't want to live in China, to be honest. I also believe in freedoms, but first we need to learn how to live with responsibilities, reclaim our personal responsibilities and our communal responsibilities, and then we can get on somehow. I don't know if you've heard that, for example, Belgium has been running without a government for years now. Again, it's set a record in not having a government, and people are absolutely getting on fine with their lives. You don't need a government. You need governance of some sort, but you don't need this kind of stuff anymore. It's just obsolete, and it's not working out, is it? But yeah, people do need to reclaim their responsibilities. There need to be more self-discipline going on inside people and watch out for each other. Helicopter is back. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go offline and still follow people around, lurk around a bit and see what happens, but I think this is going to fizzle out, or it's not much chance that this is gonna make any sense. But I had to speak, and I can't really speak publicly here because people are not ready for the truth. They're just angry about losing their own personal little freedoms, aka temporary privileges that their ancestors fought for really hard in those poll tax riots and previous chapters of history in this country. So this is it. Freedoms going out the window and people not making much sense. But I really hope that there are enough people out there who are making sense, and they will come together somehow eventually. And the next generations that Greta Thunberg is catalyzing will grow up and be a bit more on the job, be different, reclaim this world for sanity, and this will be just a little hiccup, dark few years, maybe a few years of darkness in history, hopefully. You know, hope dies last. So that's about it. Yeah, interesting days. It is weird that, you know, the V for Vendetta comic book is one thing, but the film somehow struck the chord with people. That became a cult film, and in a very eerie way, it's just 2020. I didn't even know that until like last year, that the film is set in 2020. So it was a prophecy after all, just we kind of looked at it from the wrong angle. It was a warning, and it's here. And yeah, there's no million strong guy folks protesting mob marching silently for the future of humanity. So that's that. Well, occupy everywhere, guys. Happy late occuversary, and rest in power, Brother David Graeber, and everybody else who's crossed over to the other side and they're with us as Jedi spirits, and they are still helping the next generations with their work, be it on video or in a book or whatever. Thank you for everyone for this last decade of amazing non-violent civil disobedience and protest and believing in a better future and making stands and having voices for sanity and for all of us. I think this era is ending now, and we need new ways of getting around and create the world that we want to see. And as also Graeber used to say, you know, direct action is acting out the world that you believe in, as you were already free. So, and even if it requires tactics and underground tactics, we need to do that, because no one cares about A to B marches and people showing that they're not happy, because that's too late for that. That can only be a little hobby next to building a better world for ourselves, and not taking not letting anybody stop if we're on the path of creating a better world for the next generations. Even if it means that we need to die in the process, or we need to go to jail or whatever, it's worth doing that. But it's not worth going to jail for running around in the street anymore, because it's just wasting energy. So that's it. Yeah, you're right. Whoever you are, this government has killed so many people in the last decade that I can't even grasp how many. From children to disabled people, and on and on and on. So, and this is not the only government that's done that. I don't really know governments that don't have blood on their hands. There might be a few, but it's not really, I think, these days. Their time is gone. We need new ways of governing ourselves, more decentralized, more manageable ways, blockchains, holochain, whatever. Use all the tools that we have at the moment, and of course offline as well. Grow food, have some kind of self-governance within your community, reclaim your power, I mean for real, electricity, I mean, microgrids, yeah. So the 21st century's politics are these hashtags. There's not too many. Energy democracy, food security, water security, natural security. That was kind of invoked by Jim Channon from the New Earth Army. Yeah, there are some old troopers here who've been on the job since the Battle of the Beanfield. Okay, so yeah, that's it for me. I think this is pretty much gonna be a cat and mouse game at this point. If not, then maybe you will see it in the media, maybe you will not see in the media, because usually there tends to be a blackout about this, unless you knock on the BBC's window with a couple of thousand people, which also happened in one of the million mask marches, and then suddenly they did publish the news. Yeah, so that's it. Keep strong, people. Don't give up, and don't let the utopian flame go out in your hearts. Stay strong. Occupy everywhere. Ciao, ciao.